Shanti, Shanti Zoomers. Thank you, Brother Eric. I love that song. In fact, it was hard for me to leave my seat, come up here to talk to you because I love that song. It puts me in such a good space. But thank you for that small interval of peace. Well, more than small intervals of peace, but that was particularly lovely, especially being with you here this evening and with you two Zoomers. So this month we have been studying the powers, and we know we've been coming here that these powers are intrinsic to our being. We are not just born with it, it follows us throughout our existence, which we believe our energy is eternal. But this week, we are going to talk about two of my favorites, actually, based on who I think I am: the power to face and the power to cooperate, which really speak to something very existential living today. And we have a wonderful speaker, Sister Sandhya, who we've ever heard of. She's just so much fun and brings so much life to it because all her creations of workshops, and we work with her, I know we could speak to that. She's helped with writing plays. If you've enjoyed holiday plays, many times it's Sister Sandhya's that's crafting them. So it's going to be a very enjoyable. But these two powers, the power to face and the power to cooperate, are particularly compelling for me because but in terms of facing, I find most of the challenges in my life, the obstacles really come from me rather than externally. It's my reaction to things. So a lot of times my power to face is I'm looking in the mirror oftentimes. So that's one piece of it. But the power of cooperation to me, conversely, is my power, how I relate to others. And that will come with a love that you need for yourself. And I kind of like myself of late, which I thank the Brahma Kumaris for allowing me to really like myself. And I ask myself, do I like myself? Yes, I do. And that wasn't always the case. And that is a remarkable thing with that self-love. And I always love God, but now it's a deeper understanding of my love for God, that it allows me to give more of myself to others and makes life just that much more interesting and more enjoyable. If you're coming from a place of strength, and that strength comes from self-love and from kind of self-understanding, which I believe that the Brahma Kumaris have given to me, the study. So I'm very interested to hear how you're going to talk about that. I do want to give one more shout out. What I've done, I've been a student, I don't know, I'm a little behind. I'm about 9 years, what we call Gyan, in study. And what I'm finding, and I'm grateful for this classes this month because I'm going back to meditation commentaries I haven't looked at in quite some time. And that is, if you get a chance, go to YouTube too. Sister Shireen has commentaries, very brief commentaries on the power to face and the power to cooperate, and they're beautiful. So that was a gift to me, able to revisit that because it's like some time. So anyway, I'm happy to talk to you about it afterwards, but then yes. No, it's Shireen. Sister Shireen does 8 hours, and they're really great. And they're really fun to sit and just meditate and moment and just listen. I just love that. It's been so long for me. It's a gift to have to study, but tonight I went back to the basics and it was fun. So, what? Anyway, Sister Sandhya, and just to tell you, I'm going to read a quick bio. She is an IT professional. So she's out there in the world working in science and interfacing with so many aspects. But as I mentioned, she brings all of her spiritual principles and they run deep into all that she creates for us, workshops, classes, and things of that nature. And you've been I looked at the bio, it's like 35 years, right? How long have you, right? It's 35 years, right? So plus. So that tells you you're gonna have a very, very amazing instrument tonight. So, Sister Cynthia.
Shanti. Good evening. How's everyone doing? Yeah. It's a very, very long time since I came here for an insight session. I don't remember when it was last, maybe last year. I don't usually come in the winters for the insight session, but it's nice to be here. So, when I was thinking about powers, I think this whole month has been about powers. How many of you attended the other sessions we had here this month? Okay. I'm sure there are quite a few on Zoom also. I was wondering, you think you can remember what those powers are? All the 8 powers? Michelle was saying they're intrinsic to us. We already have them. So I was wondering, okay, let's remember. So the first power is the power to withdraw. Not to be involved in everything all the time, but to know when to stay in, when to get out. The next one is the power to pack up or the power to let go. That means to know what to keep, what is needed, what is not needed, what needs to be left. So we move forward with what we need, not just what we need, but what is important to us. Next, the power to discern. I think you did this last week, didn't you? Yeah. To know what's important, what's not. Right? Then comes the power to decide. So once you know, you need to make a decision. You need to go in some path, right? So that's the power to decide. Who knows next? The power to accept. No, there is the serenity prayer, right? Who remembers that prayer? Yeah, can you tell me? And to know the difference. Yeah. Accept what I cannot change, the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? That's the power to accept. And then you must have done the power to tolerate. Or, in other words, it's called the power of love, right? However things are, however people are, to be able to look beyond, to be able to love beyond the differences. Those are the 6. And then we come to the last 2, right? The power to face and the power to cooperate. The translation of this word from Hindi, it's called power. But originally in Hindi, the word that's used for power is Shakti. Power is also a good translation, but it's more like an intrinsic ability. It's the strength to move, to hold on, and move in the direction you need to. So it's like an inner strength. That's why when Michelle was saying it's intrinsic, right? Look, power we interpret in many ways, but look at it as a strength that I need to live my life. And although you're listening to this as 8 powers, I'm sure all of you use it all the time. Is there a day when you haven't used your power to discern, to know what to choose, or to make a decision or a choice, right? You make choices all the time. You made a choice today to come here. You used your power to choose, right? So if you look at your day, it's very interesting. We don't see it that way. But throughout the day, at every moment, we are using one or the other of these powers. That is why it's called intrinsic. It's already there within us. But over a period of time, some of them have become a little weak because you haven't used them much. Right? How do you develop any power, any strength? By flexing them, by using them, right? So we haven't been using them much, or we have been using them wrongly. So they are a little weak now. So the idea is to just try and remember and use them so they develop again. So that's why we say it's intrinsic. So it's like a strength we all have. So as far as I can see, all of you, all on Zoom, we already have these powers. The power to face and the power to cooperate. So we're just going to look today to see, how do I know how much of this power I have? Don't you feel like you should know? Yeah? You want to know? So we're just going to check. How do I know how much of this power I have? We're going to see, okay, once I know, how do I work on it? How do I develop it? Is there simple things I can do? You know, when you go to the gym, they always say you need a trainer. All the equipment is there, but it's always nice to have a trainer. Why? The trainer will tell you how to use an equipment and what to use to develop which muscle. Am I right? And based on what it is, what strength you need, then you use those exercises to strengthen those muscles. It's the same thing here. There are certain things we can do to strengthen these powers, and you're going to see how we do that. Did you do all of this already? You didn't do that. Okay, so let's do that today. So let's take an example, right? When you think of power, I was thinking, I just remembered this when I was thinking about powers. Do you all drive? Or you've been in a car? At least been in a car if you don't drive. I know in New York, many people don't drive. But do you all drive? All right. At least you've been in a car if you don't drive. There are some cars that have very high power. Right? Like if you go for a Mercedes or a Bentley, they're like very high horsepower. And then you have the regular cars, right? The Toyotas, the Hondas, the regular. And then there are cars you see on the road which they are dying. They're just there probably to get you from here to there, and that's it. Now, on a regular road, if you're going from here, let's say about 2 miles, any one of these cars can serve you, right? You just need to go that distance. If you had the highest power, even, it's fine. If you had a regular car, it's still fine. But when you go uphill, you start to see a little difference, right? When you start to go uphill, if your car has enough power, it goes easily. If you didn't have as much power, have you seen that? You see the engine trying to get there, trying to get you to that destination, but it's struggling. And then there are cars which just won't go there. It just doesn't have the power. Am I right? You kind of understand what I'm saying, right? It's the same thing with us. We all have these powers. But the only time you will know whether you have the power or not is when there is a situation in front of you. Day to day, yes, I have the power to accept, I have the power to tolerate. And then a situation comes in front of you and you're like, you're taken aback. You're like, I didn't think that would be so difficult, right? Power, how much power I have, I will know only when there is a situation. When everything goes well, when everything is all right, whatever little power we have, life goes on. I don't know, it's not a test. But when a situation comes, that's when we get to know where we stand. So let's take an example, right? Think of some situation in your own life that you recently may have seen or experienced. Take a moment to reflect on it. Is there anyone who didn't have any situation, just even today? Anything that came in front of you that you had to deal with? Just look within to see what was happening inside you when you were in that situation. Where you just come, you were like a 500 horsepower vehicle. You didn't even know it was a situation, you just passed through. Or was there an inner struggle inside? You handled it, you were able to cross it, but inside of you, there was a slight disturbance. That should not have been the way. They should not have spoken like this. This is not the way things are done. Was there any disturbance like that inside of you? Or you didn't even want to face it, you walked away. It happens, right? So this is how you will know where you stand in terms of your personal power or strength. You understand? For example, let me take a simple example and a regular one. Let's say at work, you did something really very good. Very good job you did, but someone else took the credit. What goes on inside of you? How would you deal with it? Think about it. What would be the first thing that comes to your mind? Say it. What's the first thing that comes? There's no right or wrong. Don't be afraid. Maybe this is the situation. What is the first thing that comes to your mind? It's not fair. Would you be angry? Possible. Not you, in general. Possibility is, yeah, it's not fair, right? I did all the work. Now, it is a situation, right? What is another way that you can probably deal with it? What else could you do? We have some veterans here, Michelle, Louise. What would you do? Uh-huh.
And then once I tell her, I let it go because I always say, as long as she knows, God knows, I'm good. That's one way I actually deal, and I've dealt with that a lot in my career,
Mhm.
where a lot of times I did not get the credit,
Mhm.
but I know, and God knows, and my friend now knows,
Mhm.
and I don't ever know if that's right or not, but I used to say that to people, that if you don't care who gets the credit, wow, you're going to get a lot done. And that was really how I saw politics too. So kind of made peace with that. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any other way of dealing with it? Sometimes you may face it, you may get angry and have an exchange, do something to the relationship. Sometimes you may be like Michelle, you may be strong enough to say, you know what matters is the bigger picture. The task got done. I'm okay. I will move on. There is another. You may not say anything at that time, but you resent the person inside, right? The next time when you have to interact with that person, there is something inside of you. I don't know if I want to work with her. Right? Different ways. Now, the how I measure my strength is not the outcome that happened, but how I felt inside. That means I'm checking myself. Where is my power? And these kind of things happen. Let's take another example because we're talking about two different powers here, right? Now, all of your family wants to do something, go out somewhere, and you don't like it. You don't feel like it. What would you do?
So, I mean, there are plenty of times I just
Mhm.
have, I discern the situation, and there are times I will express my opinion, and but the outcome I'm not as engaged in as I used to be. I
Mhm.
did, as my friend Louis would say, I'm not as hung up on getting my way, but I will,
You will say what it is.
yes, I will say. So,
So we're just taking two examples because we're talking about two different powers here. Sometimes you have to stand your ground because it's about truth, it's about your values, it may be about your principles, right? In that case, you need to stand your ground. That's the power to face. Whatever happens, I'm not going to get upset. People do what they do, but I am going to stay calm and stand grounded on my values and principles. Now, there is the other side of it, which is it's family. Do you want to stand your ground and say, I don't want to go? I don't believe in this. I'm not going to come. No. Those are the times when you kind of give up and say, okay, I'm not liking this the best, but I'll go with all of you. You kind of allow, right? This is the power to cooperate. Why? You may not like it, but family is bigger than what I like, isn't it? So sometimes you would say, that's okay. I'll work with it. You understand? This ability to not lose your when you give in, it doesn't mean that you don't have the power and they're all more powerful than you. So I have to give in. If you resent what you're doing, then there is not enough of that. But if I can come in and see the bigger picture, it's my family, their children, they want to do something. This may not be the greatest thing I like in my life, but I'm okay to work with you on this, right? This is the power to cooperate. Please, you want to say something?
It all depends on my attitude, I think. More often, if I see myself as the loving grandmother or the loving mother,
Mhm.
if I see myself as the matriarch of the family,
Mhm.
And it depends on the circumstances,
Mhm.
but I have to see myself as Bob is God's instrument.
Mhm.
And if I can do that, then my ego doesn't get a chance to be heard
Mhm.
or play itself out.
Yeah. So I love that. But even if you're not that far, like I'm the child of God and I'm going to, even if you're not that there yet, just to look at the bigger family and say, that's okay. I'll work with all of you. I'm the only one who thinks differently. That's okay. We'll all go and you all have fun. I'll be with you, right? This power to cooperate comes from the ability to allow someone else the space to do what they want to do. Just give you a little hand of cooperation, nothing more, right? This is and both of these are needed in life at many times. As you do either one of those, what is important to see is what's going on inside of me. And most of the time, the preparation for how I act at that time doesn't happen in that moment. It comes from even before. So there is preparation before anything happens. So if I have a calm state of mind, or I have this elevated thinking, like Louise was talking about, right? I am peaceful. If you all had come a little earlier, you would have seen the meditation we played. So Brother Eric played. What is my state of mind? If my state of mind is balanced and stable, many things that come, I am able to handle. So this preparation has to be even before any situation comes. So when something comes, I can check myself. Am I being triggered? As something comes, what is going on inside of me, right? So many people, when a situation comes, what's the first question you ask? What do I do? Right? But the right question to ask myself is not what do I do, but to ask myself, what power do I actually need now? In any situation, what is the power I need? There is an example of one of our daddies who's like, how do you say, the very, very senior yogis who have been on this path for decades. So there was one instrument, her name was Dadi Prakash Mani. She was one of the administrative head of the organization until 2007. There was a meeting in which, she's the head of the organization. She has a position, right? There was one person who spoke to her very, very disrespectfully. And everyone else in the room was like so agitated. Like, how can you even speak like that in her presence? Forget speaking to her. How can you even speak like that in her presence? But Dari sat there undisturbed, just listening to the whole thing, allowing the person to completely say whatever it is they were saying. When everything was said and done and everyone went away, the sisters who were there asked her, like, Dadi, how can you allow someone to speak like that? Why did you not say anything? Why did you not do anything? She says, I was doing something very important. I was checking my powers. Are they working? Are you doing what you need to do, whatever is happening there, whatever people are saying? You understand this state of mind? This is one of the most beautiful things about spirituality. While the whole world focuses on what's going on, what are people saying, what are they doing, what is happening here and there, spirituality is the ability in the midst of all of those things to look at your own self within and say, where am I grounded? What do I want to do? What do I believe in? What is right for me to do? Doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. You do not always have to respond. You do not always have to react. But you always have to look within to see, where do I stand? If I am triggered, what does it tell me? If something happens, someone says something and it triggers, what is it telling me? What is the information I'm getting? You want to say something? What is it telling you?
What is it telling you?
A question, because I've introspected. You get into that the 3 hour meditation, and then 3 hours pass by and it looks like an hour. I enjoy that. Okay, then other times meditating. And yes.
Put your mic closer.
Oh, yes. Other times you're meditating and something goes off. Here, nothing happens. And then a little flea comes and you jump back. So when I look at some other brothers like Buddhists and they shoot a gun and their brain wave is horizontal. Wow. How can I achieve that? Like Daddy Yankee. How can we achieve? How can we observe ourselves and remain equiposed continually? That's the challenge. Shanti.
The first step is that the focus is on ourselves, right? So we'll come to your point, but when something happens and there is a trigger inside of me, the first thing I should know is there is something I need to work on. There is some power within me I need to work on. I was giving you an example of Dadi Prakash. Michelle, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say that would be if I feel like that. I used to use the expression in my solar plexus. If I'm uncomfortable in my solar plexus, that means that there's an inherent weakness in my constitution, my spiritual constitution, that needs to be worked on.
Yeah,
Because the problem is, wow,
yeah,
not them. I'm just reacting to
yeah,
what their trigger for me is.
yeah.
So,
yeah. So I'm going to give you another example before I go on. I wanted to talk about before, at the time of what happens, and after. This is another example of another Dadi, right? Dadi Janki. She was also a very learned, very wise soul. So after being on this path for more than 70 years, one of the younger sisters asked her, Dadi, you have been on this path for 70 years. By now, you're probably there, right? No need to do anything more. What exactly do you do all the time then? She just said, 99% of the time, wherever I am, whatever is happening, I am checking myself because I need to get to the 100. So the idea of spirituality is attention to the self, because this is where the core is. So we're talking about three things, right? So before the situation occurs, if a situation is triggering me, I need to know there is something I need to work on myself. But there is another way of checking. Sometimes when the situation happens, we're okay, we kind of deal with it. But after it has passed, if there is any resentment inside, any anger, any ill feeling, this is also an example that I do not have enough power or strength because something has affected me like that, right? So before also you can check, you can also check after. How do I know I have enough of this power or strength is when I am okay before. I'm okay when it's happening. I'm not reacting. I take the right action, I respond. But I'm also okay after. After everything has passed, I'm still okay. And I know Michelle, when she was introducing me, she was telling me, oh, she's been on this path for 35 years. And I'm sure you all look, oh, okay, right? But these situations happen in our life all the time. And I'm giving you this example. I didn't mean to share this, but I'm going to share this. Because Michelle was saying, I also help with the little writing and all of that. I love writing. And I have this little pride that I kind of write well. I do. I had to work on it, but I like it. I like what I write and I feel good about it. So last week, or maybe, yeah, I think it was last week or early this week, I was responding to an email at work. And I had this beautiful idea of how to handle this particular thing that was going on, right? And I wrote a very nice email. When I say nice, I like the way I wrote that email because I don't like to, I'm not aggressive. I don't like to hurt. I want to work with everyone to get things done. That's how I like it. So I wrote it really nicely and I sent this email. So I expect it's going to happen. They are going to like it and it's all going to be nice. And I got a response that was so strong that I was a little taken aback. Like, what? And it took me a while. I'm able to tell you all this because I really had to check myself because at that moment I was so upset. Like, from where did this even come? It took time to see. Maybe I think my email is nice. Not everyone has to, right? Everyone has a different way of looking at things, different way of handling things. It's also possible the email is very, very nice, but it's not the right time. Right? It's also possible that the email is very, very nice, but it's not the right audience. Or maybe the email is not nice even. We don't know. But it was a situation in which I didn't want to break any of these relationships because these are people I work with all the time. And these are actually people I like. I like working. So it took me, I really think when you have to do a session like this, sometimes you have to face the situation yourself to see where you are, right? And I knew what work I needed to do on myself. So I always think when a situation comes, when something comes in front of us, it's there because there is some part you didn't see yet about your own self. There is some little work you need to do. I'm sure that there is a lot of other work also I need to do on myself. But I need to do this little work. And it showed me that if it had not been for that, I would not have known that. Michelle, you want to say something?
What's the work besides, meditating and think? Can you give a hint as to what work took you? Because I've had similar circumstances. I was wondering was that too personal? Like the work.
No, there is quite a few things, right? First of all, it starts with the expectation that when I send this email out, they're going to respond well and they're going to like it. No, it doesn't have to be that way. And also, I need to work on this pride, no, that I write well. It's not. I'm sure everyone does their own way, and it's for each their way is the right way. Because some want to do it the aggressive way and get things done. There are others who want to cooperate, do things together. It's all okay and it should be fine. But I have to know when it is appropriate to send an email and to who it needs to be sent. So I have to work not just on writing the right email, but to look at the whole situation with a bigger picture and allow for the right outcome to come. So I'm like, this is something I've been learning for a few months now. The ability to look at a bigger picture, bigger than what your task is or what you need to accomplish. You need to be able to see bigger and bigger, bigger and bigger. Because when I was thinking about it, right, for a moment when I was upset, I was thinking, I cannot do anything wrong here because I work for an organization, right? And I want the best for that organization. In the same way, when we work for a group, whatever it is, if we have to adjust things, we have to, because there is the greater good. I always think like Baba's work, right? Like God's work. God's work is so big in the world. Sometimes little things stop us from doing things, moving forward, allowing others to do their part. We cannot do that. We have to look at the big picture and we have to be able to see everything. And I think that is a learning. In our day-to-day lessons, we always learn about a broad intellect and then a deep intellect. You need both. You need a deep intellect when you're thinking about something minutely, but you also need a broad intellect to be able to accept everything that comes, to be able to think in the bigger picture. What is good for the world? What is good for the organization? What's good for the family? Not just where I am coming from. So I am kind of, for a few months, I've been focusing on this a lot. And it takes a lot of effort to make your intellect think bigger. It so focuses on yourself, no? It's like, so yes, I am, that's a big learning for me, and it takes effort. It does. Did you want to ask a question?
Should be going on. Yes, thank you, Michelle. Michelle shared about plexus. It's a
Solar plexus?
yeah, solar plexus. It's very good to tap here. As far as tapping is concerned, it's just when if you're aware, then you tap because your body has a wisdom. The temple of our soul has a wisdom. And then, of course, being a researcher, kind of a scientist at a very early age, I worked with the South Atlantic gangster. These are fruit flies, and I noticed that a fly was caressing me. And then
Not a fruit fly. It was a big fly, though.
right, of course, right. And then it landed on the microphone. Then it worked in its way closer to you. And then it flew again, and then you were completely still. And I noticed that it did not land on the left hemisphere of the body. It landed on the right hemisphere. And you were completely still. And so I said, oh, this is beautiful. We have to really enhance more of our right hemisphere because through schooling, the left hemisphere is emphasized and the right hemisphere is more, here it is.
You attracted him.
And now it landed on my left side and it's on my right. And yes, there is an intelligence that connects all of us. And if it weren't for this beautiful thing that is sitting right here, the planet would cease to exist in 5 years. That's how important the insects are. And so the respect that I have for them is so overwhelming that stillness has taught me to, again, it just landed on the foot and I'm looking at it and it's just a contemplation because when I was younger, I was into contemplation. And I picked up a stone and about 30 hornets came out and they stung me everywhere. And it was a blessing because my immune system got stronger. Sure, I had to go to the hospital. So about 10 years ago, I had a whole bunch of those in the house and they decided to come near my nose. So it was a challenge for me just to be in stillness. So the power to accept, power to face all these powers through stillness and silence, because silence speaks and it connects us to the most insignificant thing. Even a beautiful spider, that it leaves its body in stillness when I look at these lessons that this insects teaches all of us, it's beautiful. So thank you for being here, dear beloved sister.
You have a lot of power of tolerance to allow so many hornets. So when we talk about powers, there is a balance of powers also that's very, very important. You need the right amount of power. Too much of tolerance means you have lost another power on the other side, because the 8 powers kind of balance themselves and they all have to be in the right way. Yeah. So let's talk about now this is where I am with my powers, right? Like, do I have enough? Am I like a 500 horsepower vehicle that can just go up a slope and not be disturbed at all? Am I in low power? I kind of handle it, I get there, but there is a little disturbance that's left within me, or I have struggled to get there. And then there is the low or no power. How do you know I do not have a certain power at all? You avoid those situations or you walk away. You understand this? That's no power at all. If you struggled and got there, you have some of it. But the best way is when you can get through it easily, not having to struggle. So how do I develop these powers? So I'm going to talk a little. We only have about 15 minutes left now. The power to face. If I want to develop this power, what do I do? I know I have some, but I want to develop this. What can I do? The power to face is in adversity, in any situation, I am able to stay calm and handle whatever is going on. Face, many times the power to face is like it's about facing someone else, right? It's not. It's about in a situation, can I calmly handle the situation and get to my destination? So the first thing to develop the power to face in small things in life, right? See if you can be honest to yourself, but also with others. Not to try and avoid or lie or get away and give reasons. Can I be honest? Smallest of things. If I didn't, I'm just going to give you a simple example, right? If you didn't go to a function, many times you say, oh, I was busy, I was doing something else. No, you don't want to. Can you be honest and say whatever it is? In the nicest possible way, but can you be honest? This is the first step to develop this ability to face. You understand why we try to lie or give reasons or excuses? Do you know why we do that? Because we don't want to face. We just want to take the easier way. So the smallest of things, if you can try and be honest, it allows you to grow this power. It's a muscle inside of you, inside your soul, not a physical muscle, but a spiritual muscle, which is you stay true to your value or principle. You speak the truth. You are honest. This develops this muscle to face any situation and get through to your destination without avoiding, without trying to find a side way. This is one of the most important things. If you want to develop the power to cooperate, what can you do? Take the smallest of things and see, is it okay to be flexible and allow the other person's way? Can I think he's inspiring it to come around us. And to cooperate, right? There are two things. One, Can I be flexible and allow the other person? Can I give in and be okay with it? Not feel like someone is stepping over me, I've been over, not like that, but to allow it with respect. And the second thing, for the ability to cooperate, is can I listen? Can I listen to the other person? This is a very important thing to develop the ability to cooperate. Listen means it's not just listening to the words, right? Listening to where that person is coming from. Yeah, that solar plexus, very, very important. The heart. That means not the words, but the words that have not been said. The meaning or the intention behind those words. This is the ability to listen. So, the ability to listen to the other gives us the power to cooperate, because then we are seeing beyond what is obvious. Many times, we are not able to cooperate because it comes in front of us and we are like, we can't agree with this. But if you listen more carefully, right, your heart opens up and it's possible to cooperate. And this ability to cooperate or the power to cooperate is very, very important, because what it actually does, it gives the other person to the power that they may not have. It's like sharing. It's like sharing a power. The power to cooperate is my ability to allow another person to grow, to be able to do things better. So it comes when you are able to listen, right? So do these small things. I find that it's very difficult to say, okay, I want to be perfect. I want to have all powers. But if we can start with the smallest steps, try and be honest. That gives you the power to face. Second, try and listen to what is in the heart of the other person. Will give you the ability to cooperate with them. Make sense? So anytime in life, whatever comes in front of us, whatever happens, whatever anyone says, whatever I'm listening to, what is the question I need to ask myself? For this moment, for this interaction, or for this situation, what power do I need? It's a very interesting thing. It's a small tip I'm giving you, right? Instead of saying, what do I do? If you say, what power do I need? The focus completely changes from the external situation to myself. You understand? Usually, the situation on the outside, 99% of the time, you cannot change it. Can you? Have you, any one of you, changed anyone or anything in your life? No. But there is one thing we can definitely change 100%. Myself. Isn't it? So when you turn around and just saying, why are they doing this? What am I expected to do here? Instead, if I go in and say, in this moment, what power do I need? I change the whole dynamic of the moment, and I change the whole focus of that moment. Make sense? All right. So even if we don't take anything else with us today, this is the tip we want to take back. Okay? Any questions? Anything you want to share? Because I'm sure each one of you have the same powers, right? That I have. We all have the same. So if there's something you want to share, I'm open to listen. I'm sure everyone is. You're all good? All right. If we are all good, let's take a few minutes. For a moment, bring your thoughts from anywhere out to this moment. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. I am a gifted soul. Unknown to me, there are these great powers that have been bestowed on me. Every moment of the day, these powers are like 8 weights that are constantly taking care of me and my tasks. I don't have to do anything. They do everything for me. All I need to do is check on them. Are you with me? Are you doing your duties in the right way? As I go through the day, let me check. My power to withdraw. Are you doing your task? A power to let go. Are you attending to me? My power to discern. Are you making sure I'm looking at things the right way? My power to decide. Working on my choices. My power to accept. Power to love. Power to face. power to cooperate. My 8 servants, but also my 8 companions who take care of everything for me. Are you all ready, steady, and working with me? Sure.
Thank you, sister. All right, everybody, check your spiritual muscle. Let me see it. Right? You were a great trainer today. We had an hour in the spiritual gym, and I feel, look at that, pretty good. So thank you so much, Sister Sanjay. It was delightful. So just a very quick reminder, next Thursday, we will not have our conversation because it is celebrating the July 4th weekend, but we have an opportunity as students here. It's the 250th anniversary of the country. And we as citizens, remembering what the meditation, love, compassion, and wisdom that we as citizens, all of us, bring together so we can make America on its birthday all the promise that it offers. And we can do that. And I wish you a happy